Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another session on polity and constitution. I hope I'm audible as well as visible. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so others can keep on joining. In the meantime, we'll do a quick recap of what we studied in the previous class. So in the last class, I believe we had taken up for discussion the judiciary, where we discussed about the judicial activism, or the Supreme Court. Anyway, so we discussed the judiciary, starting with the point of the Supreme Court, how many judges, what's the appointment procedure, collegium system, all this stuff. Then removal of judges, ad hoc judges, retired judges, court of records, the seat of Supreme Court, various kinds of jurisdictions. Then we studied the high courts, the subordinate courts, and then moving on to bodies like NALSA, discussion on judicial independence, issues like pendency, issues like ADR, the alternate dispute resolution mechanisms that we have, Gram Nyayalay, Lok Adalat, even the All India Judicial Services. Then we saw the tribunals, before that activism, then tribunals. Moving on, we also addressed the Election Commission of India, the constitutional body under Article 324. Then we saw the very important two laws that we have, RPA 1950 and RPA 1951, various provisions. And I said that the disqualification provision, section 8, 8A, 9, 9A, 10, 10A are extremely important. You have to mug up those sections, including what is a period of disqualification. So that is extremely important. Beyond this, we also studied, some electoral issues, and we had taken up for discussion, and we were done with the compulsory voting. So first issue was covered, compulsory voting. What remains to be covered is right to recall, and a small topic, electoral bonds. Okay. Yes, Karthik, donkey voting wala. So that is what we had covered under compulsory voting. And I believe you have taken your mock tests. You have written those answers, and you've also written answers of the PYQs, and you are getting those evaluated. Now, as you know very well, every class on Saturday begins with 10 practice questions. So I hope you have revised properly, right? So let us start the practice questions one by one. I'll give you 45 seconds to answer these questions. So the very first question. Done. 39% got this correct. C. Let's read. Uh, See, you can eliminate first. Second statement. The question says, consider the following statements about the PAC. It has currently 22 members, all from Lok Sabha. That is wrong. It has members from both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So 2 is wrong. Remove 2. This is gone. This is gone. Now, 1 and 3 are common. They have to be correct. Even if you don't know it, those two statements have to be correct. So yes, it was first set up in 1921 under the provisions of Government of India Act 1919, and the members are chosen according to principle of proportional representation. Beyond that, let's look at 4. The chairman of the committee is invariably from the opposition. So the chairman always comes from the opposition since 1967. So 4 is correct. C, 1, 3, and 4 is the right answer. Second question. Again, 45 seconds. Okay, it seems an easy question. 61% got it correct. Great. The assembly, while passing an ordinary bill, can override the amendments made by the council. Of course, assembly is the one which decides on what is going to be the final content of the bill. 1 is correct. Remove these 2. A bill rejected by the assembly, irrespective of its origin, ends and becomes dead. Yes. So if the assembly rejects a bill, the council has no say over it. And 2 is also correct. C, both 1 and 2. Next question, the third one. %55 got this correct. Great. Which of the following is not the purpose of constituting cabinet committees? So, by definition itself, cabinet committee's task is to do what? Reduce the workload on the cabinet. So, A cannot be the correct answer. To facilitate in-depth examination of policy issues, of course, that's a task of cabinet committees. This can't be the answer. To give federal character to policy making. Now, it makes no sense. Cabinet committees are not meant to promote federalism in any form or manner. They can resolve some issues, but their policy making is geared towards the country in general. So C is what seems to be wrong and hence is the right answer. To sort out issues and formulate proposals for the consideration of the cabinet, of course. Okay. Oh, somebody says all the questions have C as the answer. Let's see. Next question. Okay, a lot of you marked B. So this time C is not the answer, B is the answer. Small error here in the statement. Consider the following statements with regard to estimates committee. It is called continuous economic committee since it examines all. That is what is wrong. Not all. It's not possible only. In fact, we had seen this as a limitation of estimates committee, that it cannot give suggestions to all the departments and ministries. There are so many departments and ministries that it's not possible for a 30-member committee to give recommendations to all such ministries and departments. So one is wrong. If one is wrong, remove these two. It examines the budget estimates only after they have been voted by the parliament. Of course, that's also a limitation, that they always vote after the budget has been passed by the parliament. Hence, B2 only is the right answer. Question number 5. A question from Panchayats. Please read the statements and the question carefully before marking your answers. Okay, a lot of you marked C. Great. Others, what happened? This was a pretty easy question. With reference to the evolution of Panchayati Raj in India, consider the following statements. The first rural self-government was established in Madras in 1687. It was not the rural, but the urban municipal corporation was established in Madras. So one is wrong. Rajasthan became the first state in independent India, of course, where panchayats were established. 2 is correct. C. The Panchayati Raj institutions got constitutional status in 1992 and not 93. The act was the 73rd Act, but of 1992. So 3 is also wrong. Which of the statements given above are incorrect? Incorrect. So C. 1 and 3 only. I hope this time you have not fallen prey to incorrect and correct. Next question, the 6th one, again from Panchayats. Again, please read the statement carefully, the question carefully. Okay, great. Which of the following is or are not compulsory provisions? Not compulsory. So Gram Sabha is compulsory, right? This is a compulsory provision. Constituting a state finance commission is a compulsory provision. So 1 and 2 are compulsory. They can't be the answer. Remove this, remove this, remove this. This is the answer. Giving representation to members of parliament. So MPs, MLAs, MLCs, OBC, all this reservation and representation in the panchayats is not mandatory. State legislature may by law decide. So 3 is what is not compulsory, and hence B is the right answer. Next question, the 7th one. Okay, great. 58% mark the correct answer. So, removal of judges. The judges of high courts can be removed on the same ground as judge of Supreme Court. One is correct. Of course, these two can't be the answers. Violation of the Constitution is the only ground for removal. Sorry, this is a ground for removal of the president and not the judges. For the judges, the ground for removal is misbehavior or incapacity. So if there is a proved misbehavior or incapacity, so these two phrases, misbehavior, incapacity, these are the two grounds. So 2 is wrong, hence A, 1 only. Eighth question. Mark your answer again, guys. Okay, great. A lot of you got this correct. This was Article 136, special leave petition. So the Constitution has given power to Supreme Court to hear a petition as an appeal, even if High Court refuses to grant the certificate for appeal. One is correct. Special leave petition is a discretionary power. Of course, you cannot force the Supreme Court into accepting it. They accept it based on their interest or free will. 2 is also correct. C, both 1 and 2. Second last question. 41% got this also correct. Great. As per the Judges Inquiry Act 1968, I hope you understand the meaning of recusal of judges. We're discussing this, that if a judge is involved in some case personally, he knows either of the litigants personally, right? Then the first principle of natural justice gets violated. What is that? Nima causa in judex sua, meaning no one shall be a judge in their own case. Right against bias. That is why recusal means you back out. You take your name out. You ask the CGI that please don't give me this case because I know this particular person. So having a prior or personal association with a party involved in the case can be reason for recusal. Of course, 2 is correct. Now, as per the Judges Inquiry Act 1968, if a judge does not recuse himself, herself from a case involving conflict of interest, it can become one reason. See, please understand, there's only one reason, or rather two reasons: misbehavior, incapacity. What are the details of misbehavior or incapacity? Those things will be decided by the parliament. But just two words are mentioned for removal. So one is wrong. Right answer is B, 2 only. And last question for the day. 42% got this right. Which of the following statements with respect to ECI is correct? Removal of ECs is same as that of Supreme Court judge. So not all ECs, just the Chief Election Commissioner one is not correct. The Constitution provides for the retirement age. No, it does not. The retirement age is not mentioned in the Constitution. The ECI issues notification. No, the ECI does not issue notification, it just announces. So the announcement is done by ECI, not the notification. So C has to be correct. The CEC and the other ECs have the same powers and receive equal salaries. That's all for our 10 questions for the day. Let's see the leaderboard. Okay, only one, nobody got all 10 correct, but Priyanka got 9 correct. Then Nitin, Vipin, Sudhanshu, Yash, Ajit, 8 correct. Chanabaswa, Dhaval, Viswa, Ambika, Lakshmikant, Kishan, Suhasini, 7 correct. And we have Swati, Avni, Anshu, U, Subhash Chandra Bose, Janvi Singh, 6 correct. Roshni, Suraj, Ravi, etc. 5 correct. So that is the current leaderboard. Great to see some new names as well. And people who got 9, 8, 7, 6 correct, great performance. Okay, so that's amazing. Now let's get back to our discussion. Let's move on to the topics to be discussed at hand. So, right to recall. Okay, firstly, before we move on, we have to discuss the break timings. So, first break at 1:30 to 1:40. Okay. Second would be your lunch break from 3 to 3:40. Then around 4:40 to 4:50 a small break again. Then 5:40 to 6, one more break. So these should be sufficient. In case needed, we can take a break at 7 p.m. also, if required. Right? So that is all as far as the breaks are concerned. Now, coming to this very interesting concept called right to recall. So what is this right to recall? Please understand that when it comes to any elected representative, let us say people vote for an MP, or say Rahul Gandhi was an MP from Wayanad. People voted for him in 2019. Now, once you choose an MP, vote for the person and he or she wins the election, now you have to tolerate the person for 5 years. When we say that, oh, we can remove you, but only after 5 years. So the person has 5 years of guaranteed tenure until and unless he is not involved in some act of corruption, crime, etc. We cannot remove the person, right? So that is how the situation is. Now, a small point to be understood here. When it comes to the understanding of performance of functions, let's say an MP, like say Rahul Gandhi, if the people in Wayanad are not happy with the person's performance, then there is no scope to remove him or her. We have to wait for 5 years and then we can vote him out after 5 years. But the point is, why should we tolerate somebody if we have come to know that he or she is not performing well, right? Why should we tolerate somebody for full 5 years? So there could also be an opportunity that the people of the area, they vote, okay? They vote and then they call back somebody saying, sir, enough is enough. You please leave. You are no longer an MP. We want to choose a new MP. So before the tenure of 5 years comes to an end, if you call prematurely an MP or an MLA, MLC from their constituency, right, that would be called right to recall. So we have a right to vote and choose right now, but we don't have any right to recall, right? So this is what is the right to recall. The power of electorate. Who is an electorate? Voter. The power of the voter to remove elected officials before the end of tenure. That is, end of the tenure of 5 years. This is called right to recall. Now I'll take a simple poll. You tell me if you have understood this point. Tell me how many of you feel, just 10 seconds, that this is a good idea. That yes, we should allow for right to recall. Press A, and if you feel it's a bad idea, press B. Let's see what your approach is. Do you think this idea is good? Oh, a lot of you feel it's good. Now comes the, of course, the advantage. Firstly, this idea in India originated uh, in 1974 when Jay Prakash Narayan, he firstly gave this concept that we should have right to recall because other countries have right to recall. I mean, you have plenty of examples. Examples like say USA. In USA, 19 states have a concept of right to recall, or of course a country like Switzerland. Even UK has this concept. So in UK in 2014, a bill was passed that was called Recall of MPs Act 2014. In India, do we have right to recall? As of now, we don't. But at the panchayat and municipalities level, so in India, at the local level meaning panchayats or municipalities, we have this right to recall in some states like MP, Rajasthan, even Haryana. Recently, Haryana passed this provision when in 2020 they gave reservation for women 50%. They also passed this provision of right to recall where sarpanch and members of the block and the Zilla Parishad could be called back, not by people, by the other members of the panchayat, right? So a sarpanch could be called back by the members of Gram Panchayat. A member of the block panchayat could be called back by the members of block panchayat only. So not people. People did not get the chance to vote. It was the members of the Gram Panchayat, the block panchayat, the Zilla Parishad who were being given the opportunity to vote and vote out somebody who was elected, some other member. That's it. Now, what is the obvious advantage? See, the obvious advantage of this concept is this accountability. So, we know very well that if you can be recalled at any given point of time, the accountability has to be constant, consistent accountability, right? And it also acts as a deterrence against corruption, criminality, apathy, right? So why does it act as a deterrence against corruption? See, right now what happens is if an MP's name is embroiled in some act of corruption and the case is going on, the case may keep on hanging in the court for years. But if an MP's name is dragged in corruption, people know very well, oh, corrupt person, but they can't vote him out. If you give this opportunity, then the MP also would try, put in the best efforts to make sure that his or her name is not dragged in any criminal activity, right? So they would want to also create a very clean image, right? So the MPs, MLAs will be forced into maintaining or keeping a very clean image that's there. Beyond this, of course, it improves trust in governance. So public trust comes because, see, right now the lack of trust is that, oh, once we have chosen you, we don't know what you'll do. But because we can have a strict and consistent monitoring, scrutiny over your performance. Consistent monitoring of performance takes place. So we feel that the real power now lies in our hands. We can elect you, we can remove you. So it also improves trust of people in governance, because they feel that now we truly have all the powers. It's a 360-degree power, right from being able to choose somebody to also ending someone's career. That's there. These are the advantages. Of course, two-thirds of you believe that these are great things. But now comes a problem. Why don't many countries have this? Or why don't we have this? Of course, there have been calls from, say, Jayaprakash Narayan, as I said, Somnath Chatterjee, who was a former Lok Sabha speaker. He at one point of time raised the same issue. Even Janata Party 1977 raised the same issue. National Front government in 1989 raised the same issue. But no mainstream party has taken this seriously nowadays also. And it's a topic which is largely discussed only in UPSC classrooms, nothing nowhere else. Why? Because of the challenges. There are too many challenges. See, the beauty is that you are holding somebody accountable 24/7. If he or she does not perform today, tomorrow, remove. That's very great. But the challenge is, how will you remove the person, right? First things first, what is the criteria? What is going to be the criteria to remove somebody? I mean, criteria meaning, how do you measure the performance of an individual? Because an MP MP also may not have a lot of powers at hand. It's a government which spends money, not the MP, right? The government spends money. The minister spends money. MP has no right to spend money. He or she can only raise your concerns in the parliament. That's it. And there also, if you say, sir, we can check how many questions the MP is asking, that may not be very viable, because questions that MPs ask, they are chosen by lottery. Draw of lots is what we call it. So even if you look at that, a lot of MPs questions, they may never be chosen. So the criteria itself is very complicated. And there is no established method to measure performance, right? Number one. Number two, what will be the process? Some of you may say, sir, let's do one thing. Let us now ask the people to give a petition. Maybe 10,000 people, 50,000 people, 1 lakh people can give a petition. And then we can start this process. Fair enough, fair enough. The point is, who is going to verify the signature of petitions? 50,000 signatures are required, let's say. Who will take the task of verifying signatures? We know very well, in our country, every kid has been trained into signing false signatures of his parents right from childhood. So for forgery in signature is not a big thing. It is going to be very difficult to keep a track of all the signatures, who signed what document, etc. That is going to be a problem. So again, the process is a tedious one. Also, things like how many petitions, right? Then if you are recalling somebody, how many people should vote? Should the entire constituency vote? Should those people get a chance to vote who did not vote earlier? So many questions left unanswered. That is why the process is going to be very complicated. It is very, very difficult. Number three, when to initiate? Again, a problem. When do you want to initiate it? After 1 year, after 2 years, after 2.5 years, after 5 years? See, the point is that when it comes to initiating something, what is a sufficient time that you'd want to give to an MP to perform? First, we don't know what is the performance. Secondly, what is the sufficient time? If you say, sir, only after 2.5 years, midterm, again, the problem is, if you force things like this, right, then the MP will be forced into taking populist policies to win the hearts of people. Good governance requires long-term strategy and thinking. But if the situation is such that the MP knows very well, if I don't show my work immediately, then things may not happen for me. People may vote me out. So he or she will be more forced into taking very popular steps, populist tendencies, right? It will force the MPs into becoming popular, winning hearts of people, not to actually get involved in good governance. A simple example: if today you want to improve the condition of judiciary, say bring down pendency of cases, do you think it can be done in 1 year, 2 years? Of course not. It will take 10, 15 years for a major change to take place. So the point here is you can never effectively measure the performance of an MP, number one, and number two, in a particular time frame. Because you fix a time frame, and the moment you fix a time frame, the MP is now forced into giving you subsidies, freebies, etc., to keep on winning the hearts of people. It will only increase the expenditure. Then instability. Why instability? A very important problem that we might face is that in our country, we follow first past the post. Simple example. What is the system of first past the post? First past the post means, let's say there are 4 people, A, B, C, D, 100 voters. A gets 24 votes, B gets 25 votes, C gets 26 votes, D gets 25 votes. In this case, who is the winner? You will say, sir, C is the winner. Fully agree. I fully agree with you here. C is the winner. But herein lies the problem. If you now ask the same number of people, 100 people, vote, should we have C as an MP or should we remove C? All these 3 people, 3 groups, they will all join hands, because they may have difference in opinion on who to choose, but they are united in one thing, that we don't want C. This group wants D, this group wants B, this group wants A. These 3 groups don't want C. So it is going to be very easy to remove somebody through first past the post. Okay, so this is the problem. And because this, if you keep on calling people, let's say you have called back the Prime Minister only. Tomorrow, if from Varanasi, the PM is called back, government collapses, right? So this can keep on happening. That's there. And eventually, if you have multiple elections, see, right now, we have how many elections? We have 2 elections, one for Lok Sabha, one for Vidhan Sabha. It is so difficult to convince people to come and vote once every 5 years or twice, maybe at most, for both levels. Now you want people to come and vote again and again. And what's the guarantee that the newly elected person will continue for the remainder term? What if he or she also does not perform? Again remove, again election. It is also causing expenditure, right? So this is going to be a huge challenge. That is why the idea that we see here, right to recall, looks very good on paper, that, oh, consistent accountability. But there are so many concerns that it is going to be impossible almost to have all these concerns in place, addressed properly in such a vast democracy as the size of India. India is not like Switzerland, right? So we have too many people. So addressing all their concerns, etc., is going to be a tough task. That is why the challenges are way too many, and the advantage per se is this consistent accountability. Again, the whole point is measuring the performance of an MP is also very vague. If the MP comes and meets you regularly, then will you say, oh, very good MP? Of course not, right? The MP has to raise his concern in the parliament. He has to raise the voice of people in the parliament. There's so many ways to measure an MP's performance, right? So that's there. So this will again force all the ruling party MPs. Ruling party MPs may have an advantage because they can get government to spend money in their constituency. Opposition party MPs may face a problem. So that is also an element wherein we feel that it's okay. 5 years is sufficient time. Let the MPs only decide who will form the government there, and let the people decide once in 5 years to vote and choose who will govern the country. So again, the conclusion for right to recall is that this idea looks good on paper, but in reality, there are so many challenges that it is best left. I mean, not added in our provisions, best left ignored. And that is why, I mean, if you try to add right to recall, it will be a knee-jerk proposal, something very random, obscure, without any proper test, analysis, study, etc., and is bound to have too many problems. Okay, so that's there as far as the first pass, the right to recall is concerned. Okay, now coming to the next issue of sorts, if you may say so. So this is what is the electoral bonds. Now, just to give you a brief on this, see, political parties receive funds, and that is how they get money also. Political parties do not really have too much of business to run. They don't run businesses, MNCs, etc. Right? Political parties focus largely on collecting money and winning elections, deciding policies. That's a task of parties. So where will it get funds from? It will get funds, of course, from the what? From the people only. The people, the companies, MNCs, etc. The corporates. Now, till 2017, the government said, or the law said, that no political party would get cash donations above 20,000 rupees. So if you want to donate to the parties, you have to donate via cash till 20K. If you want to donate more money, you please use some demand draft, bank check, etc. But there is also a problem there. So government said this 20,000 is a very big amount. Let's reduce it, because we want people to contribute through banking channels, not cash, right? Cash can result in black money, etc., being funneled into the system. So the government modified the Finance Act and said that from now onwards, the maximum contribution in cash can only be 2,000 rupees. Above that, you have to use check, demand draft, etc. So today, if you want to contribute to any party, let's say you're a fan of Congress or BJP, whatever, and you want to donate some money, say 5,000 rupees, you have to use only negotiable instruments like check, demand draft, etc. Okay. But then there also comes a problem. Now, what is a problem? The problem is that, let's say a big corporate donates, let's assume there is some Mr. Sudani. Mr. Sudani wants to donate to any party. Say Mr. Sudani wants to donate some money to BJP for election purpose. Now, once Mr. Sudani donates this money, the information is made available to Election Commission. Then people would come to know that, oh, Mr. Sudani is sending money to BJP. Let us say Congress wins the election and Congress comes to power. Then Congress will be very angry. Mr. Sudani, you are giving money to only BJP, not to us. Now we will not approve any project for you. We will harass you and we will not give any sanction for any kind of project. We will stall all the projects. Okay. So this means that we also want some anonymous donation. Anonymous meaning, why should I as a corporate disclose my name? Can I not give a donation which will not be known to anyone, including to BJP? No, think of somebody as a silent lover, right? Who does not want his or her name to be known, but likes somebody and wants to contribute indirectly. Same thing here. Mr. Sudani says that I don't want BJP or anybody to know who I am contributing to. I want to remain anonymous. For that only, a concept of electoral bonds came up. So what is this electoral bond? Look at this. This is what is an electoral bond. The first line is the definition of the bond. but I'll explain this point in detail. So the whole idea is, I don't want my name to be disclosed. This is the secret love letter. So let's say I have 10,000 rupees of cash which I have saved, and I truly love a party, and I say I will donate this money to that party only, but I don't want anybody to know, not even the party to know. Okay, I'll go to State Bank of India, only State Bank of India, no other bank. And even in State Bank of India, 29 different branches, that's it. Okay, there are some designated main branches of SBI. You cannot go anywhere else. Now I'll go to SBI in these branches, and not any random day. Days are fixed. These bonds are sold first 10 days of every quarter. That is 1st to 10th of January, 1st to 10th of April, 1st to 10th of July, and 1st to 10th of October. That's it. Now, this can be increased, to 15 days in case of legislative assembly elections. In case in that year there is some assembly election, then this can be increased to 15 days. Meaning what? From the 1st to the 15th, I can go and purchase this bond. Now, I have the money, 10,000 rupees. I go to the bank. The bank says, give us cash. I give cash, but the bank says, do you have an account in SBI? I say yes. Then the bank will deduct the money from my account. So the bank knows the information that I have purchased a bond. If I don't have SBI account, the bank will take my KYC. Okay, and then after my KYC, that is know your customer, my data is taken by the bank. The bank will give me in return a piece of paper which is called electoral bond. This is what is that piece of paper that the bank is going to give me in return for the money. Now, that piece of paper has two things mentioned: date of issue. So when was this issued by the bank? And number two, what is the amount? That's it, nothing else. So my name is not mentioned anywhere here. Only bank knows, right? So nobody else knows who is contributing. Now I take this piece of paper and I go to BJP party office and drop this piece of paper there secretly. That's it. Now this paper belongs to BJP. BJP workers, whoever they are in charge of this activity, they will take these piece of papers, all of them and pieces, and they will go to the bank, submit this in the bank, and the bank will in return give money to BJP. So basically, what is the chain here? Let's say some person gives money to bank and bank gives electoral bond. Now, this electoral bond is given to party. Now, party will give the electoral bond to bank and the bank gives money. This is the cycle. So eventually my money goes to the party and the party has no idea who contributed. That is why we say they do not bear the name of the donor. Contributions are anonymous, and also banks are not covered under RTI. So you can't file an RTI and get this information from the bank. It is not allowed. You may file it, the bank will reject it, that I cannot disclose information. Okay, so this is what is an electoral bond. So we say that these are bearer banking instrument. Bearer banking instrument. What is this bearer instrument? Have you seen a check? Right? Check has a name on it. So let's say a check has a name Ram Kumar. You are Shyam Kumar. You cannot go to the bank and encash the check, right? Name is mentioned on it. Okay. But if you get a note lying on the road, 500 rupee note, whoever gets the note keeps the note and the money belongs to the person. So bearer instrument means whoever bears it, whoever bears or owns it encashes. What is the meaning of this? Let us say you are a fan of Congress. You have taken some bond from SBI, only SBI, issued by SBI only, right? 29 different branches. So let us say you are a fan of Congress. You go to the bank, give 10,000 rupees, take the bond, and now you go to the Congress party office. You are going to Congress party office to submit the bond there. But in the meantime, when you are traveling, 5-6 hooligans come, they slap you and they take the bond from you and run away from there and go and deposit that bond into BJP's office. Now, who does the bond belong to? BJP, right? So whoever owns the bond will go and encash the bond in the bank because nobody's name is mentioned, right? So next time you purchase a bond, please be extremely careful, right? Because if the bond is lost, it's gone. Whoever owns it will go to bank and encash it, right? Nobody's name is mentioned. Now, this bond is only used to fund eligible political parties. Which party is called an eligible political party? Those parties which are registered firstly. So unregistered parties cannot get bonds. They should be registered. And number two, they must have received at least 1% of total votes in the previous election. Received at least 1% of total votes in the previous election. Okay, so that is called an eligible party. So eligible party will ideally any kind of national party, state party, any kind of registered party which is receiving some votes in the previous election will be eligible to receive funds. I hope this point is clear. Now, you can go and purchase a bond of 1,000 rupees. You can go and purchase a bond of 10,000 rupees. But you cannot go and purchase a bond of 980 rupees, 1,274 rupees, because the bond is only sold in the combination of 1,000, 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakh, 1 crore. So you can purchase a bond or you cannot purchase a bond of 1,300 rupees. Not possible. But you can purchase a bond of 13,000 rupees. One bond of 10,000, three bonds of 1,000. So the bonds can only be purchased in these denominations. And how many can you purchase? No maximum limit. The maximum limit is decided by you only. The bank balance you have is your maximum limit, right? So there is no upper limit to how much or how many bonds or how much worth bonds you can purchase. I hope this point is clear. Now, this bond is valid only for 15 days from date of issue. See, valid up to 15 days from date of issue. So whatever date you take the bond, you have to go to the party office and submit it. Secondly, you also will have to, the party will also have to go and submit this bond to the Election Commission of India, to the SBI, right? Within 15 days only. What happens if 15 days are over? Let's say you purchase a bond on 5th. you go to the party office on 10th and give the bond. But the party, there was some delay and they misplaced the bond. On 24th, they found this bond lying somewhere. Now, can they go to the bank and claim it? Of course not. They cannot claim it. So, this bond is only valid, the validity is 15 days from date of issue. And in case the bank does not receive the bond back, the money is with the bank only. Where does the money go? Does it come back to you? Of course not. The money which was not claimed by parties will go to Prime Minister's Relief Fund. If not encashed, it will go to PM's Relief Fund. So directly or indirectly, you have contributed to Prime Minister's Relief Fund. That's how it is. So that is all as far as the information on these bonds is concerned. I hope now you are clear on what exactly is an electoral bond. So it can be sold only by SBI, and that too by 29 branches only, from the 1st to 10th of every quarter, not every day. If there's an election year, it can be increased to 15 days also, right? And beyond that, you can purchase bond of set quantity only, right? Not any random figure. Then there is no upper limit. And if the bond is not encashed, the money goes to, of course, the Prime Minister's Relief Fund. So that is all as far as the bonds are concerned. I hope the doubt is clear. Now, just to tell you, so far, some facts are important. So far, how many bonds have been sold? We have seen since 2018, 25 tranches in 25 installments. Right now, the time window is open for purchasing the bonds. You can go to SBI's designated branches. Basically in every state capital, you have these main branches of SBI, right? So you can go to those branches and main branch of SBI in your city state capital, and you can ask for these bonds. The window was opened on 3rd of April, first, second being Saturday, Sunday. 3rd of April, the window was open. So now again, bonds purchase is happening. And just to give you this figure, from 2018 to March, or rather, let's say 2022. So March 23. 12,008 crores. It's the exact figure is 12,008.59 crores worth bonds have been sold. 12,008. So around 12,000 crores worth of bond has been sold. And the redemption is very high. 99.8% bonds have been redeemed. Very small amount of bonds have not been redeemed. Maybe some parties must have misplaced the bond. Otherwise, these bonds are redeemed. Okay. That is all as far as these bonds are concerned. What concerns do we have? Let's see. Yaram Setti, sir, maximum limit of denomination is up to, denomination is 1 crore only. The maximum limit of denomination is 1 crore only, but no maximum limit on the amount. How much money? So you can purchase bonds worth 10 crores, 100 crores, 1000 crores, whatever. There is no limit. No limit whatsoever. SIAN. It is not PM Relief Bond, it's PM Relief Fund. So there is a fund which is called the Prime Minister's Relief Fund. Money is kept there and it is used to provide relief in times of crisis, like say some kind of pandemic, epidemic, earthquake, etc. So some money is there to give donations. Swati, yes, every bond does not have name of anyone. That is why I showed the figure also. No name is mentioned on any of the bonds. That's the whole point. Okay, Janvi. If the name is not mentioned, how will the corporate benefit by donating the money to the political parties? That's the whole point. Now, somebody says that if the name is not mentioned, how will I as a company benefit? See, very simple. Let us say, to give you a simple example, say BJP. Now, BJP is seen as a party which is very aggressive towards business, very aggressive towards business. So, all the businessmen, of course, know very well that whenever BJP is in power, they are more likely to flourish because BJP is very supportive of business. It's not corruption. Eventually, if you don't have business in the country, how will the country function? So any party which is or any MNC which is interested in having its policies right in the country, they would prefer voting for BJP. That is why you see whenever BJP wins the election in any state or the center, you will find the stock market increases on that day. It's almost a guarantee. Why? Because that's a positive news for business. Small businessmen to big businessmen, it's a positive news. Let's say some party is very prone to making policies in favor of farmers. So most farmers would want to donate their money to that party only. So businesses donate because of the manifesto, the promises, the ideology of the party. And that is what we want. We don't want the businesses to donate based on some benefit they will receive from the party once it comes to power. That's the purpose. Okay, Janvi. Now, Swati. Which country have elements of recall? UK, Switzerland, USA, etc. are those countries. No, Priyanka, PM Relief Fund is different, right? The COVID money was collected in a different fund that was called PM Cares Fund. Okay, that was different. Sir, from this total amount, which party got how much money? See, till 2022, as per Election Commission details, roughly 9,208 crore bonds were sold till 2022. Okay. Out of which, of course, BJP got 57% of the money. BJP got 5,270 crores. That is more than half the money was given to by people to BJP only through bonds. Second highest was Congress, 964 crores. 5,270 crores for BJP. 5,270 crores. That was 57% of total bonds. Then we have second highest Congress, which was 964 crores. And then we had this All India Trinamool Congress, TMC, Mamata Banerjee's party, 767 crores. So you can see the difference also. Anyway. Sri Lakshmi, what will they do with money? They use money for campaigning, right? They will use this money in whatever form they want. You have given money to somebody. Now, what they use it for is their own choice. So they use it for campaigning basically, right? So it could have been used to predict election results. Not really. Even though bonds are being sold to BJP, still Congress manages to win elections. Other parties do win elections. So I don't think it can be used to predict results because this information comes later on. Shalu, populist tendencies. Shalu, I just explained populist tendencies would mean any kind of step that you take to remain popular. Simple example, let us say I here come with 10 questions every day or every Saturday and give 10 very easy questions. Everybody gets full 10 marks, right? Very happy. Oh, amazing teaching is going on. But when you go to the exam, you cannot solve any question because I did not teach you to that level which the exam required. I am here trying to play a populist tendency, trying to win hearts, which is a problem. I have to do what is right for you, not what you feel is nice. That's called populist. Siva, I may not be able to answer that. So Sudani denotes which person. Sudani is a random person. Let's assume Sudani is a random person. Okay. Recipient name is not mentioned, then how it will be known that which party is meant for? Sushri, if I get the bond, I am BJP, I will go to bank and say, I am from BJP, this is my I card, you take this bond, transfer this money into BJP's account. That's it. Whoever goes to the bank to claim it, that person gets the money. Yaram City, electoral bonds are only meant for political parties. That is the purpose of electoral bonds. Okay, Shweta, first past the post, something we have discussed right in our chapter Parliament. First past the post means whoever gets the highest number of votes wins the election, right? Whether you are getting 10% votes, 30% votes, does not matter. If no other competitor of yours is getting more votes than you, then you are the winner. That's it. Okay, so now let's come back again. Identity should be hidden because of safety reason. Safety reason, not so much. It is more, no, for the political, for the companies. The companies, that may backfire for companies if the other party comes to power. Now, what is the concern with bonds? So far, so good. It's all nice, right? So, firstly, let me clarify. This matter is pending in the court. Okay, this electoral bonds is pending in the court, and hopefully, what date do we have today? So today is 8th. On 11th of this month, the Supreme Court has scheduled a hearing for electoral bonds. Electoral bonds pending in the court. This is the ADR case 2023. You can look at this case also. I'm just mentioning here. Next hearing will be on 11/4/23. So Supreme Court will tell us whether these bonds are valid or not. Okay. See, government has been saying that electoral bonds are going to bring transparency in the election funding. Opposition says, or the critics say that no, this is going to end transparency. But then what is the concern and what is the problem? Issue number one. See, first issue is that no limit on contribution by companies plus no info of the company. So we don't really know which company is contributing. Can it be possible that we open some kind of temporary shell company and give black money and it comes in the system, becomes white? So there is an allegation that black money may be brought in the system because we have no idea which company is contributing. It could be a letterbox company, a shell company. Second, a very critical aspect is, now please tell me which bank is selling these bonds? State Bank of India, you will say. Of course. So what's the problem? If State Bank of India is selling these bonds, then what exactly is the problem? The problem is this. State Bank of India is a public sector bank. One call from finance minister and SBI officials may give information. That is why the allegation is that ruling party may get information on contribution, because electoral bonds sold by SBI. Did you understand this point? So it is possible. We don't know what is happening, it's possible. And number three, people also say, why are you printing bonds and all? Who is going to take care of the cost? Because when you print bonds, money is wasted. Cost of printing bonds is borne by the bank. Okay? The bank bears the cost. If the bank bears the cost, we are bearing the cost. Taxpayers' money is being used. Bank is not making a single penny out of it. Bank prints bonds, gives bonds to people, people give to party, party gives bond, bank gives money. They're not keeping some cut or charge. There's no charge on the bond. So the printing cost is borne by the bank only. Eventually, taxpayers' money. So these are some issues that are being raised by the people, and of course, the opposition is very angry because BJP receives a lot of funds to electoral bonds. So they say there's something wrong happening. But to tell you frankly, some companies have formed a trust. A very popular trust is called Prudent Electoral Trust. Prudent Electoral Trust. This trust receives contributions from ArcelorMittal, Bharti Airtel, Jindal Steel, Serum Institute of India, TVS Motor, so many such companies. And this trust donates a lot of money to BJP, primarily BJP. In fact, of all the money BJP received last year, 54% came from this Prudent Electoral Trust only, which is funded by major corporates of this country, from Airtel to Jindal Steel to TVS Motor, etc. So a lot of these corporates do want to fund BJP because of the BJP's progressive policies on business. So other parties just have to catch up, right? A lot of these MNCs and corporates don't appreciate Aam Aadmi Party's free everything policy, or they don't appreciate Congress's policy. So if you modify your policies, you will get the money. As simple as that. So that's also there. Apart from it, yes, every corporate may also have this feeling that if I donate to the opposition, maybe the ruling party will ask the bank and get to know. That can also be there. So these are the issues. Let's see what Supreme Court has to say on these electoral bonds. No GST, no any money that the political parties receive, they don't have to pay any income tax. What is GST here? Income tax. This is an income for the political party. Parties do not pay income tax. Section 13A of Income Tax Act 1961, political parties are exempted from paying income tax. They don't pay income tax. Okay. So that's there as far as our bonds are concerned. With this, we come to an end of our discussion on election and the concerned and related electoral issues. Nitesh, Sharam Shetty, why? Firstly, there cannot be an element of GST here. The point is, this is an income for the party. So don't use the word GST. Use income tax firstly, right? So income tax is not being paid by parties because that is as per the RPA as well as Income Tax Act, that any political party which discloses the contribution to the Election Commission need not pay any income tax. The whole point is that these are contributions. So in India, we don't have a lot of taxes like inheritance tax. Whatever money Ambani's son is going to get, all comes from Ambani only, Mukesh Ambani. That is also being transferred as an income, right? Whatever money you will get from your father or mother is a contribution gained by your father, mother to you. Are we taxing that? Not. So there are a lot of taxes we don't have. So that's again one element of why these parties are not taxed. Anyway, that's all as far as our elections are concerned. Now, when it comes to Lakshmikant, please study the following chapters if you want to. Chapter 42, chapter 71, chapter 72, chapter 73, and chapter 74. These chapters can be studied from the book in case you want to. Okay, that's it. We are done with elections and all the related issues. Now, one small topic. This is a topic: simultaneous elections. Now, see, just to brief you on this, in our country, we have elections at two levels: Lok Sabha, Vidhan Sabha. Initially, we used to have only one election every 5 years. All the states and the center together. But slowly and steadily, in some states, governments collapsed. We had midterm elections, etc., happening. So now the timeline has shifted for every state. Okay. So now we do not really have one nation, one election. So we have one Lok Sabha election in 2024. Then we have Karnataka elections this year. So elections now in our country, they keep on varying. Okay. Some states have the election in 2024, some in 25, some in 26. So every year you will have some elections. In some corner of the country, every year you will have elections. This current government in 2014 only said we should go back to the system of just one election every 5 years. All the states, center, one election only, common election. That's it, and done. Next 5 years, no election. So this is what is called simultaneous elections or one nation, one election. Now, a question on this topic has already been asked in the UPSC. Okay, this is a question from 2015. It has already been asked. Since a question is asked on this topic, it is extremely unlikely that, because this is a very specific topic, so a question cannot be repeated. But you should know this information. So for that, you can refer to a video. The link is mentioned here. It was recorded by me only, no self-promotion. It is just to ease our task here, because teaching this 1 hour of time will be wasted with no additional benefit for your examination. But yes, for the interview, they may ask you a question. You should at least have this information. So devote some time. Please study this on your own and try to write this answer also after you are done. Okay, that is all as far as our topics of election are concerned. Let me just give you a quick recap. ECI, the body, is discussed. Know the Article 324. Know the functions. UPSC has gone to very stooped to very low level now. They're asking functions of bodies. Last year they asked a function of NCBC. So we don't really know. They may ask function of election commission. So at least have rough idea on what is the function of election commission. So that is there. Apart from it, RPA, certain sections of RPA, especially section 8, 8A, 9, 9A, 10A, 10A, please mug up those sections. Extremely important. Okay. Great. So that's all. Now we'll cover all the smaller topics that remain one by one, very quick. Okay, Priyanka, one argument against elections. Jab jab desh mein, this was said by former Chief Election Commissioner S.Y. Qureshi, that jab jab देश में चुनाव आता है, गरीब के घर में पुलाव आता है. So it's basically, elections means bribing the people. So it is actually not an argument against, it's an argument in favor. At least poor people get something to eat. Anyway, now we'll take up for discussion the very first part of the Indian Constitution. And now you will come to know what is the first article of the Indian Constitution, article number 1. So we'll be discussing part 1, articles 1 to 4, Union and its territory. So we know very well in the British India, we had two types of areas. For those who have studied history in their school days, British India, two kinds of areas. Javed, sir, emergency. Arey, Javed, don't worry. We have just started discussing topics. Don't worry. We'll discuss all the topics and your syllabus will be covered, right? Don't panic. We have a lot of time at hand. Okay. Don't let your past and previous biases cloud your judgment currently. Anyway, so British India, we had these princely states. I hope you remember. Those states where you had these kings and queens, where the Britishers said, okay, enjoy, be the king, but I will place a resident in your darbar. That was a princely state. So we had over 562 plus princely states. See, the exact number is not found anywhere. In some places, it's 515, some say 562, some say 585, some say more than 600. 562 is a very standard figure you'll find almost everywhere. Second is the governor's province. So it was those areas where we had the elections, Congress government, Muslim League government, etc. And we had 17 governors provinces. After the division took place, some princely states went to Pakistan, a lot of them remained in India only. And for governors provinces, 11 remained in India, Bombay, Bihar, Delhi, Madras, UP, etc. Then 3 went to Pakistan completely, Northwest Frontier Province, Balochistan, and Sindh. And 3 were divided between India and Pakistan. That is what is the partition, right? So, Punjab, Bengal, Assam. These 3 were partitioned. Anyway, so coming to the very constitutional provisions initially. So, first up, we have Article 1, right? And that is where we get to know. And our constitution starts with a confusion. It says India, that is Bharat. So what is India? India or Bharat? Let's call both. So India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. This term is of key importance. India is a union of states. What's the meaning of this word union? Union of states means states have no right to move out of India. No state has right to secede, meaning move out, break away. Why? Because this is not some kind of contract signed by independent countries to come together, like say in USA and all. In our country, we have a centralizing tendency. Center binds all these places together, and we always believe that we were what was the larger concept of Bharat, right? That has always been there. So states here have no right to move out and become independent. Don't even dream of that, right? So that is not possible. That is the significance of this word union of states. India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. And because of this only, because states cannot move out of the country and create their own independent nation, we say India is an indestructible union. India indestructible union. Okay. This concept of indestructible union comes from Article 1. The union cannot be destroyed. Now, this means India is a union of states. What are these states' names? How do I come to know? So, if you want to know the names of states, the states and the boundary thereof shall be as specified in the first schedule. So, if you want to know the names of the states and all, please refer to Schedule 1 of the Indian Constitution. So, now we have one more schedule with us, Schedule 1. What is Schedule 1? Schedule 1 comprises of list of states and UTs along with their territories. Okay, that is Schedule 1. What if someone says Hindustan, Nitesh? It's okay, you can call, the constitution calls it India and Bharat. Like you have a name, you have your nickname, but your friend or somebody who loves you will call you Babu, Shona, whatever, right? Cutie pie, multiple names, it's okay, no problem. Now, the third clause of Article 1, it says that territory of India, difference. See, when I am referring to this word union, union means states. But if I say territory of India, I am referring to states UTs and such other territories as may be acquired, meaning territory of India means states, also UTs, and any future acquisition. In case you want to acquire some territory, that is also going to be called a territory of India. So Indian territory is a bigger term because it comprises of states and UTs. But union is a smaller term because union only means what? States. That is all that union means states only. Territory means states and UTs. Okay. This is Article 1 of the Constitution. Now, moving on to another important article, that is Article 3. Article 3 is the article which allows the Parliament to modify or change the internal boundaries. Okay. See, in our country, when we started in 1950s, we had different kinds of states and UTs. We did not have UTs only. But slowly we made some states and UTs. We had 14 states and 6 UTs in 1956. Then we modified, bifurcated, states being bifurcated till recently, Andhra Pradesh 2014. In 2000, Bihar, MP, and UP were bifurcated, right? In 1966, Punjab was bifurcated. So all this modification of states boundary, how does it happen? Article 3 allows for it. So there is a parliamentary provision, or there is a constitution provision which says that, let's read the article for once. Formation of new states or alteration of area, boundary, or name. If you want to create new state, or you want to alter the name of a state, or you want to alter the boundary of a state, or you want to alter the area of a state, does not matter. Anything, any kind of change you want in a state, it can be done by what? Parliament. And how? By law. What is by law? What is meant by bylaw? Bylaw means simple majority. This is what is bylaw. So it's so easy to modify a state's boundary. Simply pass a law in the parliament and with a simple majority. So you can form a new state, you can increase the area, diminish the area, alter the boundary, alter the name. All these things can be achieved. Now, there is a condition for such kind of proposals. What is the condition? If you want to reorganize the country, modify boundaries, such a bill is introduced on the recommendation of the president. So if you remember the chapter president, we had mentioned this as an example, Article 3. There are certain kinds of bills like say money bill, etc., which require the president's prior recommendation. On the president's prior recommendation, only such bills can be introduced. Okay. So let us say tomorrow you want to bifurcate UP into 2 parts. Let's assume. So the president will give recommendation and the bill is introduced. What's the bill called? Name of state. You mention name of state. Reorganization bill, and you mention the year also. For example, name of state Andhra Pradesh, and the bill was called Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act 2014. That's how you name these kind of modifications or name these kind of reorganizations. Now, once a bill has been introduced, you will send the bill to the state assembly also. It is sent to the legislative assembly of the state. We'll ask the state, we'll ask the state, UP, do you think we should pass this bill? UP says, yes, sir, pass this bill, bifurcate. Parliament bifurcates. We ask UP, do you think we should bifurcate? UP says, no, don't. Parliament can still pass the bill. State's opinion is not binding. Okay? So states have no say only in what their area, boundary, etc. will be. It has no say, right? Interesting, right? We claim so many, states claim, oh, federalism is there. How dare you harass us, give us money, funds. But your survival depends on center. Tomorrow, if the center wants, it can bifurcate you into 5 different parts. End of story. So what is this federal feature we're talking about? There's nothing called federal feature. Our constitution is so centralized that we respect federalism. We give some powers. But if it comes to the parliament to abuse its power, the constitution provides for it. So that is why we say that our constitution has a centralizing tendency. Everywhere, center is supreme. Everywhere. And this is a classic example. In fact, Supreme Court has also mentioned this. In one Mullah Periyar case, Supreme Court said that Parliament's power to reorganize a country is exclusive and plenary. Plenary means unconditional. So Parliament's power to reorganize is exclusive power. Nobody else has this power. Plus plenary. Plenary means unconditional power. No condition can be imposed on it. States have simply no say on such issues. Okay. Of course, this kind of procedure is not applicable to union territories. For UTs, the center will not ask the UT because UT is a part of center only. That is why the word UT, union territory. Territory controlled directly by the union is called UT. So this is Article 3. And let me come back to this point now. So in our country, the country's boundaries can't be destroyed, right? Indestructible union. But states' boundaries can be destroyed. Of destructible states. So this statement Article 3 is what is referred to here. Article 3 tells us that the state's boundaries can be destroyed, but the center, the union, can't be destroyed. Okay. Now, just to give you an example, if you look at some federal countries like say USA, in USA they have their own provisions in their constitution, which, for example, there is one Article 4, Section 3, Subsection 1, which says that in case you want to modify the state's boundary, state's consent is required. Or say Australia, one more federal country. There also, their constitution, Section 124 says that the parliament of the state, that is the state legislature, has to give consent. Only then can you modify the state's boundary. Otherwise, without the state's consent, state's boundaries can't be modified. These are examples of some countries which are federal in nature. And that is why we can say India is not federal in nature. There is no equality of distribution of powers. Center is very strong, right? So that is through Article 3 that center is strong. Okay, that's there. Now, just a small point, and then we'll take a break. We'll just finish this point. It's a very simple point. See, when back in 1940s, the late 1940s, what happened was that our British Indian government, it finally bifurcated the country. The two-nation theory started by Shah Waliullah back in the 14th, 15th century, forwarded by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, etc., finalizing to Jinnah being adamant on this. Finally, they got what they wanted, bifurcation of the country into 2 parts, India and East and West Pakistan. So somebody had to draw the lines of partition. So we called, or Britishers called, a statistician from UK called Sir Cyril Radcliffe. So this information is not really important, but anyway, Sir Cyril Radcliffe was called, and he was called to draw the boundaries between India and Pakistan. And look at this situation. This fellow had never come to India. He had no idea about the existing situations. And Britishers said, oh, he'll be neutral. To hell with neutral. This fellow did not even draw the boundaries properly. And some mistakes were made. Some areas omitted, etc. Sometimes we also had issue of enclave, a very interesting concept. We'll be studying more on this in your IR classes also. Enclaves. I'll just give you a brief of what is an enclave. Simple example. So how were enclaves formed in India firstly? Let us say these are two kingdoms of two different kings. One is king of Cooch Behar and the other is the king of Rangpur. Now you know all these great kings in the British times, say Bengal, these provinces, they had too much of money, fertile land, too much of money, no work. They would be busy in living in Calcutta and Dhaka and enjoying their life, while tenants would be plowing the fields and giving them revenue. So full on enjoyment of life, no work only. So how to pass time? They did not even have TikTok to make those cringe-worthy TikTok videos, thankfully. So to pass time, they employed a new technique. Let's play chess. And see, when you play teen patti, poker, etc., what do? You bet money. How much? 1 rupee, 2 rupee. We are poor people, betting small amounts, 10 rupees. These were kings. They did not bet rupees. They used to bet on land only. So let's say on Monday, Rangpur Maharaj wins. He will say, you please give me this small village. Now this village belongs to Rangpur. Mind you, people inside the village have no idea that now they are not a part of Cooch Behar. They are part of Rangpur. On paper, Rangpur. Say on Tuesday, the king of Cooch Behar is very angry, goes back home, drinks Complan, etc., eats walnuts, practices, comes back and wins the next match. Now what happens? He says, wait. I want this small part. Again on Wednesday, let's assume that Rangpur Maharaj wins. He says, I want this small part back. Can you see what is happening here? I mean, people in these areas have no idea that they are being tossed from Rangpur to Cooch Behar to Rangpur. But look at what has happened. This is an area, right? This is what? Rangpur, which is surrounded by Cooch Behar on all sides. If today Cooch Behar says people of Rangpur will not be allowed to enter Cooch Behar, these people are trapped here only for life. For life, right? So that's there. These are called enclaves. Enclave means a territory surrounded by one common foreign land on all sides. These things happened. And when Britishers, this Radcliffe came, he simply drew a line. He said, okay, line drawn. This belongs to India, Pakistan. But when you say Cooch Behar belongs to India, are you saying that this part, these people, who are they now? Indian citizens or Pakistani citizens? On paper, Indian citizens. So that became a problem. So in 1958, Nehru and the PM of Pakistan, Firoz Shah Noon, and mind you, in 1958, pact was signed called Nehru-Noon Agreement. Firoz Shah Noon was the 7th Prime Minister of Pakistan. 7th Prime Minister. In the first 10 years, they had 7 Prime Ministers. We knew very well where the country was heading, very clearly. So, anyway, so this Nehru-Noon Agreement happened. Now the Nehru-Noon agreement said that Nehru said, okay, we'll simply exchange these lands, no problem. Why this should come to India only and you keep all this, no problem. We don't want that. How to transport people from here and there? Let it be. You are now Indians, Pakistanis, we are Indians. That's it. But in the parliament, people said, how dare you? If you want to modify any area, any territory, boundary, etc., parliament's approval is required. Bring a bill and then we'll pass it. In the meantime, government said, okay, let's do one thing. Let's ask Supreme Court only. Article 143, advisory jurisdiction. So they went to Supreme Court. That, sir, what do we do? I want to do it through an executive action. Parliament is saying bring a bill by simple majority. What should be done? Supreme Court said, okay, you have come to us under Article 143, advisory jurisdiction. Okay. Supreme Court gave a judgment. That was the Berubari Union presidential reference. This is what is called presidential reference. That is which article? 143. In this, the Supreme Court said, see, neither executive action nor simple majority. If you want to settle any boundary dispute where you are going to give cede Indian territory to another country, you have to use Article 368. Supreme Court gave a unique funda only, neither by law nor executive action. What do? We have to use Article 368. That is why the 9th Amendment Act 1960 was passed and Berubari Union was given to Pakistan. Go enjoy, be happy. I hope this point is clear. So Article 3 is limited to domestic or internal reorganization only. If you want to give some land to a foreign country, you have to use Article 368. Okay. Just one small point. In 1969, Supreme Court said, if India wants to settle any boundary dispute without giving up land, if we want to settle a boundary dispute and land need not be given up, this can be done by via executive action. I'll repeat once again. If you want to internally reorganize the country, Article 3. If you want to settle international disputes, boundary problems, and give up land to a foreign country to settle the problem, Article 368. And otherwise, if you simply want to settle some boundary dispute where you need not give any piece of land to anyone, that can be done through executive action. So in the case of Berubari, which was actually a Than number 12A here, we had to give up this land to Pakistan. So that is why giving up land requires Article 368. Otherwise, no need to give up land, then executive action. This is what is Article 3. And that is what is important for us for the constitutional provisions under Part 1. See, Article 2 is of no concern. Article 2 is a very generic kind of article. It simply says that Parliament may by law admit into the Union or establish new states on such terms and conditions as it thinks fit. So in case any foreign country wants to join India, let's say Pakistan says, India, we have no money, please, we want to come back again. Then India Parliament can pass a law and can admit Pakistan to India based on terms and conditions that India decides, basically based on a democratic pattern of governance. That is Article 2, of no concern to us. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's take a quick break. After the break, we'll come back and discuss further on the provisions with respect to part 1. Shalu, boundary disputes can be settled with Nepal. We always settle boundary disputes. No need to give a plan. Some pillar is there. We have to shift the pillar somewhere here, right? So maybe we are giving, say, 1 centimeter there, 1 centimeter here. So small parts. If we are giving up something and getting something in return, that's more of an exchange. No land is being given up here and there. Sometimes we have a larger claim over some area. We get some land in return. So that's all there. Okay. Yes, Nitesh. Okay, coming back now, please come back at 2 p.m. Break of 11 minutes. Break, please. Welcome back, guys. Okay. Please display Berubaji slide. Too late here. This is a Berubaji slide. Uh, Yamani. Yamani enclave, not enclave. Enclave basically means any territory which is surrounded by foreign land on all sides. One foreign land on all sides. Swati, and in 2015, after a BJP government and PM of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, it gets resolved. Yes, Pallavi, what happened was back in 2015, we had the passage of the 100th Constitutional Amendment Act 2015, and we exchanged enclaves with Bangladesh. We gave up around 17,000 acres of land, 111 enclaves, and we received 51 enclaves, around 7,000 acres of land. So Sikkim also added through Article 2. No, Sikkim's provision is different. Sikkim was added as an associate state originally, associate state, and a separate Article 2A was inserted, which is now no longer there, and a separate Schedule 10 was there for Sikkim, which is also deleted in 1975 only. At local levels, right to recall works in our country, at least in Haryana, by the members of the panchayat only. So let's say I am the sarpanch and you want to vote me out. People cannot vote me out. Not the people. The members of Gram Panchayat, they can vote me out. It's just like how it functions in the legislature, right? So it is not completely right to recall given to people. It is given to the members of panchayat. Okay, Swati, great. What else? No doubts. Okay. So admission of new state. Admission of new states means entry of new state. That's called admission of new state. Article 3 UT is included. Yes, of course, it's included. But for UTs, this procedure need not be followed. Okay. Now, coming back to the very first thing we discussed on how in our country we had the concept of princely states and governors provinces. So when due to the untiring efforts of Menon and Patel, Sardar Patel, a lot of these provisions or a lot of these parts came to India, and all these governors provinces which were there, they joined India, they became part of India, and they were put under Part A category of states. Part A category. These were those kind of states which were the former British provinces, where they had a governor and the state legislature, right? So 9 of them were there under Part A. Then Part B were those areas which were former princely states, the bigger ones, or group of covenanting. Covenanting means coming together, group of covenanting states. So these states coming together, some smaller princely states joined hands together to form one large state. And these princely states were largely joined in India, and they were promised, all the kings, that if you join India, we will make you Raj Pramukh, like governor. That was a promise of making them Raj Pramukh. 9 such states. Then we had Part C, those smaller princely states and some smaller provinces. They had chief commissioner. This is what now is known as UT. But till 1956, this is how India looked like. It was not just states and UTs. It was 4 different categories: Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D. And Part D had only one place. That was the Andaman and Nicobar Island. That's it. Okay. So this is what was India till 1956. But then, how did we reorganize ourselves into states and UTs. So the story begins in 1890s only, when people in Odisha started demanding for a state based on language. Uh, just a sec, guys. Give me a minute, guys. Okay, guys. So coming to this idea of having my own state based on language. So this story started in Odisha only, or rather the Odia speaking people in the Bengal province. They insisted on having their own state based on language. Then in 1920s, Congress also understood one thing, that if you have to spread propaganda against the Britishers, you have to use it in the local language of people. Hindi or English cannot be used everywhere. Why would anybody in Madras speak Hindi? Makes no sense. Why would anybody in Bengal speak Hindi? So we have to set up our local Congress committees in the vernacular language. That would be the better approach to governance, or to uniting people against the British forces. And Congress actually had this promise also. Motilal Nehru also made this promise that in future, once we become independent, we will create states based on language. So this idea was there, that once you are independent, this kind of because British reorganization or the British capture or British coming to India was sometimes war, sometimes chance, etc. Combination of various factors, right? So sometimes it was just sheer chance, luck factor, like Britain getting Bombay, or sometimes occupied territories, conquest, Bengal, Madras, sometimes political considerations like Sindh, etc. So British conquest of India and creating states and governors provinces was chance, coincidence, conquest, political considerations, necessity, various things. But we said we should have a governing unit called a state based on language. But in 1947, once we became independent, demand started cropping up that come on, now we're independent, give us our own state based on language. Nehru was against it. He said, sorry, those promises are gone. Right now, look at the partition. Look at the horrors of partition. People are killing each other. We cannot further bifurcate states and create more states, more unique, right? And if you create states based on language, because language is culture, then you may end up having this sub-national feeling within the nation. Small nations all across the country. We cannot have that. We want unity right now. So he simply refused. But because of too much of public pressure, especially in the Madras province by Telugu speaking people, because Telugu people in Madras province, they felt they are outnumbered by Tamilians and they will not get any say in politics, in government jobs, etc. So a commission was set up called the first LPC, Linguistic Provinces Commission, called Dhar Commission because of the member and the chairperson S.K. Dhar. So S.K. Dhar, J.N. Lal and Panna Lal were the members. And this commission was formed in 1948, June 1948. And it gave its reports after 6 months. and sadly for a lot of people, it did not incorporate the element of language. It said that if you want to create states, it will be done on administrative convenience, meaning if we are able to manage an area properly, that should be the concern, not language. Language cannot be a concern to create a new state. So basically, the Dhar Commission rejected language as a criteria to create a state. Now, second LPC, JVP. This was the JVP Commission. So basically, what happened, the moment Dhar Commission's report came into public domain, people became very angry that this is cheating. You have been promising us for so many years, and now you're saying that language can't be a criteria. So to pacify the people, Nehru and Patel and Pattabhi Sitaramaiah, three top-notch leaders, they formed a committee again to pacify people. But in reality, this committee's recommendation was already known to people. Nehru and Patel were very clear that no reorganization. So we knew very well that this commission would only support Dhar Commission's report. And that is exactly what it did. Within 4 months, in fact, this report was submitted in the first week of December. Second week of December, a new committee had to be formed called JVP because of Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, and Pattabhi Sitaramaiah. This committee simply said, Dhar Commission is right, no reorganization based on language. That's it. It actually rejected completely the idea of linguistic reorganization, reorganizing boundaries based on language. Now, people said this is too much, and they started protesting. And the biggest of all protests were seen in the Madras province. Again, as I said, by the Telugu-speaking people. Protests in Madras province by Telugu-speaking people. And these protests were largely led by Swami Sitaram. But then at that point of time, Vinoba Bhave came to Swami Sitaram and told him, sir, stop this fast and all. We'll decide on it. Right now, country has bigger problems. Don't force the government into looking into this issue. And Swami Sitaram stopped his fast. That was in 1951. Anyway, this matter was under limelight, but could not gain too much of attention. However, this matter came to limelight only after the death of Poti Sriramulu. So what happened was that one former Congress employee and Congress worker and also a railway employee, Poti Sriramulu, he was sitting on a fast unto death. And it was only after he died on the 15th of December 1952. And when he passed away, it was then that people came to know that there was somebody who gave up his life for a cause of their statehood. See, in modern India, in not just independent India, in modern India, we have not seen anybody giving up their life on fast unto death. Gandhi ji has been on the fast so many times, but he never passed. I mean, we're not hoping for that to happen, but nobody died ever. The demands were accepted. We know only one case, that is of Jatin Das with Bhagat Singh. So Jatin Das and others were protesting against the inhuman treatment of Indian prisoners. That was 1929. The only known case of any person giving up their life for a cause, fast unto death, was Jatin Das on the 13th of September 1929. This was the second case only, and that to the very first case in independent India. It reflected very badly on the government, that what the hell is this government all about? Our own people are dying for a cause. And because of death of Poti Sriramulu, violence broke out. And Because of this, and he was on a 56-day hunger strike. Because of this, government had to accept the demand of the Telugu speaking people, and the result was very clear. Result, Andhra state was created. Mind you, not Andhra Pradesh, Andhra. The capital of Andhra was not Hyderabad, it was Kurnool. Okay, so this is the creation of Andhra. Once you accept one state's or one linguistic group's demand, you have to accept others also. Because if my demands are accepted by the government, others know what step to follow. Protests, strikes, dharnas, agitations, fasts, hunger strikes, etc. So rampant protests all across the country. This happened on the 1st of October 1953. And when the government accepted this demand, they knew very well that they had to form a proper commission to look into other demands also. And a separate commission was formed that became known as the States Reorganization Commission. The only one formed so far in the country. The task of this commission was to tell the government, can we reorganize the country on the lines of language? Can we have one state, one language concept in the country, etc. So this commission had three people. Fazal Ali, who was a former Supreme Court judge, also belonged to a very rich Bihar Zamindari family, K.M. Panikkar and H.N. Kunzuru. This commission was appointed within 2 months of the Andhra state being formed in December 1953 and took around 20 odd months to give its recommendations. Finally, the recommendations came of the Fazal Ali Commission or the first SRC. It said, see, understand, the commission said, yes, language can be accepted. Now, it had to say this. You have just accepted a linguistic state. Now, so the commission said language can be a criteria, but it should not be used to threaten national unity. Because, as I say, language is culture. A simple example. What is common between, say, a Brahmin from Bengal and a Brahmin from Tamil Nadu? Nothing is common in their way of life. Nothing is common. The point is, language and culture, they are deeply interlinked. So, when you create a state based on language, there is also a possibility. Think of 1950, right? Not today. There's also a possibility that people may develop an acute sense of state consciousness, that my state is everything. What is this country, India? I don't care. My state, that's it. That threat was also there looming on our heads in 1950s, because that sense of unity was not rampant everywhere. Even now, we have these pseudo left-wing liberals who constantly promote this idea of balkanization. What can we do? We have to constantly fight these divisive forces at every point of time. That's the sad state of affairs in our country, that we are not threatened by others, but by people within our country only, in the name of pseudo-liberal views. Anyway, so this commission's first recommendation was, yes, we accept language, but it should not violate or jeopardize the national unity. Secondly, one language, one state, that's not possible. We have 2,000 languages. We can't have 2,000 states. So it rejected the principle of one language, one state. Sorry, that will not be there. Number three, when you create a state, take into account administration, how easy it is to administer, and financial viability. What is viability? Existence. Meaning, state should be able to exist financially, meaning generate resources. If you create a state which is unable to generate resources, then you will have a state which will always be dependent on the center for funds. We don't want to have that. So a lot of people keep on demanding Delhi should be a state. See, of course, Delhi cannot be a state because it's national capital. National capital cannot be a part of a single state, firstly. Secondly, Delhi depends on even the most basic things like food, water, power on neighboring states. What does Delhi have? NCT of Delhi, not NCR, not the Noida, Ghaziabad, all these regions, just Delhi. Two things: shops, coaching institutes. That's what it has. So generating revenue on its own could be a problem. That is why Delhi's statehood demand is slightly misconceived. It's more political than logical. So a state should also be able to generate some resources. That should also be a factor. That has not always been a factor because of other conditions also, right? Sometimes we have a local culture of a group very separate, etc., to form a state. But largely, we should also keep in mind that the state should be able to exist financially. And lastly, the Fazal Ali Commission said, what is this Part A, Part B nonsense? Britishers are gone, remove this. We should have only two things in the country: states, UTs. That's it. So the entire country should be reorganized into 16 states and 3 UTs. The government accepted these recommendations, and the 7th Amendment Act was passed. Also, SRA, the States Reorganization Act, was passed, and no Part A, Part B, all distinction gone. Part C was removed, merger, etc. happened, and finally, we got 14 states and 6 union territories on the 1st of November 1956. And as for Andhra Pradesh, in fact, the other Telugu speaking areas, the neighboring areas of Hyderabad, were merged, and on the 1st of November 1956, Andhra Pradesh was formed with the capital as what? Hyderabad. So that was the case. This continued till 2014, where further 10 districts were bifurcated into forming a separate state of Telangana. Okay, so that is the story of our reorganization, and this is a list of the first 14 states to be formed. First 14 states. Originally in 1956, this was the list of 14 states. You need not remember this, but in 1990s, UPSC had asked a question from this, 1990s. So Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Bombay, Jammu Kashmir, Kerala, MP, Madras, Mysore, Odisha, Punjab, Rajasthan, UP, and West Bengal. And we had these 6 UTs: Andaman, Nicobar, Tripura, Delhi, Himachal, Manipur, and Lakshadweep, Minicoy, and Amindivi Islands. This is what is Lakshadweep, right? Okay, Lakshadweep. Okay, so that is all as far as our discussion on reorganization is concerned. See, when you study, let's say all this is mentioned in your book Lakshmikant. Let me summarize here only. Important articles, just 2 are important, 1 and 3. We have also studied one schedule. Schedule 1 and important case. So the Berubari Union case of 1960. Apart from it, when it comes to Lakshmikant, you can refer to chapter 5. Though you may skip 5.6 onwards. So basically, when it comes to how was say Punjab bifurcated, when was it bifurcated, or any other state's bifurcation, it is not important for prelims or mains. So UPSC has not asked so far any such question. It is likely that such questions will not be asked. But let's say you belong to a state which was formed after some bifurcation. Let's say you belong to Jharkhand, and Jharkhand was bifurcated from Bihar in the year 2000, right? Then you should know the history of your own state for the interview also, not for state PCS. State PCS, of course. Look at the recent Telangana paper. In Telangana, they have a separate subject only, that Telangana's formation. So that I think is more political. But if you belong to any state, you should know the history of your state's formation for the interview. For prelims or mains, it is too localized a topic to be asked. So UPSC does not ask this kind of localized topic in general. And we have not seen any question being asked. So in your Lakshmikant book, you can skip 5.6 onwards. Those topics can be skipped. Okay. Now, before we end our discussion, one small topic to be also be addressed is this. So we have all these demands constantly happening in our country of statehood. Everyone wants to have every small group wants their own state. Sometimes some people demand independence also. Like we had the recent demand in one northeastern state for Kuki land, KUKI, Kuki land. People were arrested for that. So demand will always happen. Look at what is happening in Punjab. So, and the pressure from a lot of people living outside the country who have nothing to do in the country, no contribution whatsoever, right? So they have all the money in the world to fund movements against India, but they have no money to eradicate the menace of drug use and all. That is not happening. Other things they'll do. Okay. Socially, it is Article 3. Domestic reorganization comes under Article 3. Article 2 is meant for any foreign part to be a part of India. Number one. And number two, it is a very generic article which says that India can accept foreign territories based on terms and conditions India decides. Okay. Every domestic bifurcation, reorganization takes place through Article 3. One more thing, people from Odisha would know this actually, that the first state to be created on the basis of language was not Andhra Pradesh actually, or Andhra. It was Odisha in 1936 only. That is why Madhusudan Das and his untiring efforts led to the creation of Odisha in 1936. And you would know the respect and reverence for Madhusudan Das. In fact, Madhusudan Das was a person whose adopted daughter became the first female lawyer in the country. So he was a great man in that sense. Anyway, so if a question is ever asked, some GK type question, which was the first ever state to be carved on the basis of language, was Odisha. Andhra was the first state in independent India to be reorganized on the basis of language. Okay. So that is there. Now, as I said, most of these demands keep on happening. I want my own statehood, own state. 100 people get up and say, separate state. If we create too many states, see, when this discussion was going on in the Constituent Assembly on what to do, Ambedkar gave a suggestion, which was, I mean, you will find this hilarious now. Ambedkar said that, people were very angry in the Constituent Assembly that, sir, why have you given this power to Parliament to reorganize with a simple majority? What if Parliament tries to misuse this power? So Ambedkar said, don't worry, they won't misuse it. And thankfully, Parliament of our country, whether it is BJP, Congress, any government, no government has tried to force reorganization. All these demands come from within only, from the states only. Anyway, Ambedkar said, I am not me, Ambedkar, I am proposing a suggestion in front of this assembly. I am saying, let us give them an opportunity to bifurcate. And Ambedkar's suggestion was, the moment any state's population crosses 2 crores, we can bifurcate the state. Now, Ambedkar had no idea on the talent of people of this country. If we go by Ambedkar's logic of 2 crore, we'll have hundreds of states. Because he did not think that our only pastime is having kids in this country. Excessive population. So that was something that he did not think of. So we cannot follow that. That's too much. We'll have too many states. But then this point can always be argued, because see, if you create smaller states, there is definitely an advantage of creating smaller states, right? I mean, the very first advantage of creating a smaller state is administrative convenience. You would agree on this, because a smaller area is easy to administer compared to a larger area. So the very first argument in favor could be administrative convenience. Argument number two, homogeneity. If you create a very small area, there are chances or almost assured chances of the people being homogeneous, similar type of people, similar likes, similar aspirations, similar expectations, similar hopes, similar problems. And because the area has people who have similar aspirations and issues, that is why there is administrative convenience also. And because of these two things, it also promotes development. Now, if you have a smaller area, people can participate more in governance. So we say that it tends to bring people closer to the government. Increase in participation of people in governance. That's also there. And of course, there are examples. I mean, look at Goa, small state, developed. In fact, other examples would also include states like Jharkhand, states like Chhattisgarh, not Chhattisgarh, states like Uttarakhand. These states, after being bifurcated from their parent state, have had a better growth rate, right? So, Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, after bifurcation. So, we have plenty of examples of this kind, definitely. Now comes the challenge. Small state in favor of small state. And what are the arguments against small states? Please tell me. Write some points. Let's see. What do you think? If you create very small states, what is the problem? Let's see. Language, lack of resources. What else? More expenditure. Dhaval, how more expenditure? Explain that. Election expense. Shalu. Financial issues and more dependence. What financial issues? Industrial development. Divya, I mean, what is it good or bad? Fiscal issues. May not have resources. Split of resources. Okay. In that sense, yes. What else? Uh, Economically viable or unviable? That could be an issue. See, to begin with, the very first issue would be, what is small? Defining small. What is meant by small? I mean, are you telling small in terms of population, area, density of population, development parameters. I mean, there can be plenty of definitions of smalls, right? So first thing is how to define small. Second issue, of course, a lot of you have raised is there could be, once you have more states, meaning what? We had one state, one Vidhan Sabha, one council, one high court, one office, one CM office, one governor's bungalow, everything. Two states, two Vidhan Sabha, two councils, two governors' bungalows, two CM bungalows, two offices for everything. So we say increase in expenses. How? Through duplication of resources. What else? Of course, we have too many states. There could be a problem of interstate and state-state conflict. Problems in center-state state-state relations. That will be complicated management. Right? Then, of course, split in resources directly propounds to economically unviable as well. That's also a problem. So there are multiple such issues. Also, see, smaller state is no guarantee for development. Don't we have states like, say, Bihar, lot of northeastern states, and a big state may be highly developed, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, large parts of Maharashtra. So the point is that it may not always guarantee development. Though largely in our country, for small seas, northeastern states have different problems of difficult terrain, lack of the industrial growth because of sensitive ecological areas also. States like Bihar, their development is compromised because of politics largely. Look at what is happening recently also. Look at how governments respond. People blame central government for all these things, but look at how the Bihar government is behaving when it comes to media persons in Bihar. We all raise concerns. Oh, press is dying. Our Magsaysay Award winners claim that, oh, press is dying. Nobody has raised a single voice on this YouTube journalist Manish Kashyap, I think is this person's name, against his arrest. NSA has been imposed on him. National Security Act on a press reporter. This is the government. So that's a political reason for that. So developmental issues may be compromised because of multiple problems that states are facing. And beyond that, let me also tell you something. If a state is large, it has overall more resources. Overall, more resources. To give you a simple example, a joint family and a nuclear family. Okay. Say in a joint family, overall there are more resources. If things go wrong, let's say somebody gets cancer. Since the family has more resources, all the resources of everybody can be used collectively to solve that problem. In a nuclear family, resources are limited. The total resources are limited. So if something goes wrong, say somebody has cancer, the overall resources are very limited in that fashion. Same thing. A larger state has more resources. And if to solve a problem, they can for a temporary time period divert all resources into solving a problem. Think of say the Maoists. Let's say Madhya Pradesh, a big state. If this area is impacted, the resources from the entire state can be for a temporary period diverted to solve this problem. But a similar impact in a smaller state, the smaller state may not have the resources only to solve this problem. That is why we say that smaller states increase in dependence on center, especially in times of crisis. That is also there. So these are all issues against small states. Now what do we do? Of course, everybody will agree on this point. A smaller area is definitely easier to administer. But the problem is, we also have to keep in mind all these challenges. What's a very right approach? This question of should we have small or large state will not come into picture. This question cannot arise only. Why? Because the best solution, the conclusion, is what? See, we all agree a small area is easy to administer. Definitely. Don't we already have those small units called panchayats, municipalities? We have them, right? Why don't we empower them? Smaller administrative areas, they already exist in the form of local self-governance. Empower them. That's the solution. 3 F's. Remember 3 F's. Funds, functions, functionaries. Rather than focusing on small versus large, you focus on this and the problem is solved. So this is the idea about small versus big state, which also brings us to an end of our discussion on the first part of our constitution. Look at some examples that we have. A lot of these examples see, this will always be there. Some group will always keep on demanding a separate state. Now, I'm not saying reject all those demands. I'm saying try some alternatives also. Why don't we give some special package to certain area? That's possible, right? Maybe in a particular state, there is some area which is slightly underdeveloped, and people there are feeling that all the resources are being used by other parts of the state only. We can create separate development board also for that area. We can spend money specifically for that area. Every year in the budget, special allocation for that area. That's possible, right? Then, as I said, we can have development boards also, creating separate development board like we have for Gujarat, we have for Maharashtra, Kalyan Karnataka, the northeastern part of Karnataka, that's there. We can also, place them under schedule 5 areas based on the tribal population. More on this maybe tomorrow. And also see, we should try to accept or address the demands through these steps, giving more funds. Because see, in most cases, statehood demand is not based on son of soil, that I am this person, I am of this place only. No, it is largely because the basic needs of people are not being met. See, if somebody, let's say back in 1960s, Tamilians faced a lot of atrocities in Maharashtra, or say, recently a lot of people from Bihar faced problems in Tamil Nadu, or say even Maharashtra, etc. A few years back, people from Odisha faced some problem in Gujarat. See, the problem is not because some Marathi is very angry at a Bihari or Tamilian is angry at a Marathi. No, that's not a problem. The problem is, if I say live in Tamil Nadu and my needs are not being met, I cannot get a good job, I don't have money, I don't have food at my table, then I'll try to look at the problems. What is the cause? And the politicians keep on telling you, oh, outsiders have come and taken all the jobs. So I'll start blaming outsiders. Oh, you have come and taken the job. Otherwise, I would have a job. The real problem is shortage of basic resources. You fulfill those needs and the problems may not be there. Okay. So largely we should address the people's concerns first. And yes, if a question is ever asked to you also that are you open to bifurcation? Yes, of course. If your demands are genuine based on excessive density of population, development not happening at all, the development parameters are very, very low, the HDI parameters are very low and very poor, then we are open to bifurcation, but only after addressing your needs based on sending money, giving more autonomy, etc. That should be our conclusion. Okay, that's all. We are done with part 1 of our constitution. Now, coming to part 2, that is citizenship. A very interesting part, though not really important for the examination, to be very frank. We have hardly seen a question in prelims, sometimes thrown here and there, one prelims based question, but otherwise for mains, I mean, you can't ask a mains question from this topic. It's very difficult. So, citizenship, part 2, articles 5 to 11. And interestingly, what has also been seen by us, if you look at any of these articles we have seen so far, Article 75, Article 124, whatever article you see Article 124, Supreme Court. That article was applicable in 1950 also, 1970 also, 1990 also, now also, 10 years later also. That article will always be in use, right? All articles of the Constitution, they have a sense of timelessness. They will continue to have value and importance. But the provisions of this part 2, they no longer are required. Their purpose is over actually. Because part 2 only tells us who was supposed to be called an Indian citizen in 1950. That's it. On the 26th of January 1950, who was supposed to be called an Indian citizen? That is what this part tells us. It does not tell us that in future who can become Indian citizen or how you may lose Indian citizenship. That has not been mentioned here. Okay. Before that, one thing, please understand, citizenship is a part of union list. So please, states don't have powers to make laws and all on citizenship. States have to follow the central government. And also one very important element of this understanding has to be, we follow something called one citizenship, one domicile. So this is what India follows, a single citizenship, single domicile. We are all citizens of the country and we are all residing, domicile, place of residence is called domicile. We are all residing in this country called India, Bharat. Okay. That's it. And as I said, citizenship is under which list? Union list. Entry number 17, entry not important. In the entry number 17. So center has power to make laws. So who is a citizen after all? Citizen is a person who is a participatory member of a political community. That is what citizenship signifies. That person gets a legal status. And of course, you get more rights than foreigners. Plus, you also are expected to perform some duties. That's what's a citizen. As opposed to a foreigner. So foreigners can be of two kinds. Okay. Enemy foreigners or friendly foreigners. So we call them aliens. aliens, foreigners. Citizen, country, foreigners, aliens. So aliens of two kinds. Don't think of Jadoo and all. This is foreigner. One is enemy alien. My simple question to you. Please answer yes or no. Poll, 10 seconds. Pakistani citizens are enemy aliens of India. A for yes, B for no. Pakistani citizens are enemy aliens of India. A for yes, B for no. So 32% have marked the correct answer actually. The fact remains that Pakistani citizens are not enemy aliens. I'll tell you why. Enemy alien has a definition. Who is an enemy alien? Citizens of those countries with which India is officially at war. We are not officially at war with Pakistan, right? We are not officially at war with Pakistan. So what we have with Pakistan is more like a cold peace, right? So, oh, sorry, not cold, hot peace rather. Not cold war, but hot peace. So we want to have peace, but they will never let us have peace. So, but official war means the president declares war. The moment India declares war or any country declares war on India, those citizens will become enemy aliens of India at that point of time. Okay. So, enemy alien is somebody, a citizen of a country with which India is officially at war. This term officially is very important. So, Pakistani citizens are not enemy aliens. Secondly, all other citizens of other countries, they are called friendly aliens. Now, migrants. Migrants are people who leave their country, go to some other country for a better job, etc., better opportunities. Migrants, now see, migrant is somebody who leaves his place to go out for better opportunities, greener pastures, whatever. Migrants leave their place out of choice. Out of what? Choice. It's my choice to leave my place and work in some other place. Choice. The exact opposite is a refugee. Refugees are those people who are forced into leaving their country against will. Example, they are fleeing or running away. Some kind of, say, persecution, like in the case of Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar. They are running out of Myanmar, not out of choice. They are being forced into run out of Myanmar. So those are refugees. I wanted to stay here, but because my religion, my community is being killed by the government or whatever, I have to escape from this place. I have to run away. That's what is a refugee. Migrants can be of two kinds. See, one is a legal migrant. If you go to, so all those who have not gone to a foreign country, so if you want to go to a foreign country, you need a passport. That is your proof of Indian citizenship. Secondly, you also need a visa. To enter any country, you need some approval from that country that, okay, I'm allowing you entry, come, no problem, for a temporary period. That's called a visa. Similarly, if somebody wants to come to India, they have to have their own document of proving citizenship, passport. Secondly, they need to get permission from India to enter. That's called visa. Legal migrants are those people who enter legally, meaning they have all the documents, they have all the evidences of being a citizen of some country, they have taken proper permission, etc., and come through proper route. Legal migrant. Secondly, illegal migrant. People who enter India illegally, meaning maybe, remember, under the wire fences, Bajrangi Bhaijan, illegal. If you don't have valid documents, no visa, nothing, and you go to some other country, that's illegal migrant. Or you have documents. Let's say India gave you visa to say come to India for 15 days or 2 months, 1 month. But you have been living here now for 6 months, for 5 months. Your documents have expired. You are overstaying the welcome. When you stay beyond the permitted time frame, you become illegal migrant. And in our country, we don't allow illegal migrants to apply for citizenship. These people not allowed, they are not allowed to apply for Indian citizenship. Okay, not allowed apply for Indian citizenship. Okay, so if you're an illegal migrant, you cannot apply for Indian citizenship. Only legal migrants can apply for Indian citizenship if they want to. That's a very important element. So there are some basic terms, important terms as far as our topic citizenship is concerned. Now, two things that you should know. Number one is this concept of jus soli and jus sanguinis. Very simple term. It just sounds complicated. Some countries give you citizenship based on birth only. So there is a concept called jus soli. It is pronounced as jus soli. This means son of soil, right of the soil. Citizenship by birth, meaning if you are born on that soil, you become citizen of the country automatically. India doesn't have this now. We used to have this earlier till 1987. For all of you here now, so taking this class, I believe no one here is born before 87. For all those who are born after 1987, you are an Indian citizen because your parents are Indian citizens, not you on your own virtue. Okay, that concept is gone. A classic example is USA. In USA, they have this concept. If you're born on the US soil, you become a US citizen. India does not have this provision. So what India has now is called jus sanguinis. Sanguinis. This is citizenship not by birth, but by ethnicity, parents, ancestors, by ethnicity, parents, etc. So every Indian who is being born now, they are born on Indian soil, but if their parents are not Indian citizens, they will not be Indian citizens. So right now, all of you have to thank your parents because they were Indian citizens, that you have this opportunity to be a part of this amazing land called Bharat. Okay, so these are some basic important terms. Let's do one thing. Let's take a break now. After break, we'll take up for discussion some constitutional provisions on citizenship, very small, hardly anything to be discussed here. And then we'll saw the law in our country which allows for citizenship, that is called the Citizenship Act 1955, and the other law which the same law which also allows us to take away your citizenship, right? And then we'll see other issues, NPR, NRC, etc., and finally ending our discussion with CAA. Okay, that's it. So break please, be back at 3:40. Janvi, when was it decided one nation, one domicile criteria? See, Janvi, in general, we follow one domicile. The very good example of this is fundamental rights, Article 19. It says right to reside and move freely. Both the subclauses say the same thing. You may say, but sir, my state exam says you have to be UP domicile, you have to be Tamil Nadu domicile. That is meant for a specific purpose of job. In general, in our country, Supreme Court has said in 1960, this language is the Supreme Court. In the Parvatava versus Chinnava case 1964, or recently last year only, in the B. Subbaraidu case, Supreme Court has said one citizenship, one domicile. Okay. Sir, Chinese citizens are enemy. No, they not are. They were enemy aliens in 1962 for the duration for which we were at war. When war ended, they were no longer enemy aliens. So only when the war is there. Okay. Uh, Sushri, we'll discuss. We'll discuss the provisions later on after the break. Don't worry. Aniket, again, we'll discuss the provisions after break. Yaran City, sir, recommendation in 16 states CUTs. Why accepted? Sir, any random commission or committee can give recommendation. It's for the government to decide what is the best. The 16 states they were recommending, the government did not feel it was required. They felt it was better to have those 14 states. So it is the prerogative of the government to make policies. What article is used to convert UT into a state? Article 3 only, right? So, or state into UT. So these things are done all through Article 3. Don't worry. Article 3 is the one which is used in this case also. Okay. Break please, guys. Be back at 3:40.